So this morning we're going to do the metta bhavana meditation, loving kindness meditation. I just want to say a bit about metta. What is this metta, this loving kindness? Well, metta is an old, well, start with bhavana actually. Bhavana means to cultivate, to become, to move towards. And metta is actually an untranslatable word. It's both metta and bhavana are old English. Sorry, no, not old English. Wake up, Shakyapada. They're old Indian words from round about the time of the Buddha. They're not actually the language the Buddha spoke, but they're very close. And metta is untranslatable into English, really. It means we don't have a word for it, which is perhaps a bit telling, actually. But it means something like friendliness, goodwill, loving kindness, acceptance. It's got a flavour of all those things together. So it's something like unconditional love is, I think, probably the nearest we can get to it in a direct translation. It means that it's the kind of love. It's the kind of love that expects nothing back. In ordinary love, when we love a friend, or we love a partner, or we love a sibling, or a son or daughter, or child, we're getting something back. There's a transaction taking place. Nothing wrong with that at all. You know, I love you because you make me feel good, or I love you because you make up for something that I'm lacking in. There's usually some kind of transaction in ordinary love, and that's fine. That's what we need to do as human beings. And of course, it has its complications, because if that person withdraws that love, then it leaves us bereft and empty. But nevertheless, ordinary love is fine, and actually ordinary love contains an element of metta. So particularly with parents, but we also with other relationships, we might do something for the other person and expect no reward. And this is true particularly of parents who just look after the children under all circumstances and endure a certain level of discomfort in their lives to care for the children. And it's okay. You know, that's one of the great elements of parenthood. And of course it occurs with partners and relatives as well. So this metta that we're trying to cultivate is something really special. It's a sense of just not expecting anything back at all. We're just loving other people and ourselves for the sake of it, just because it's a force of positive good in the world. We're not expecting a reward for it of any kind. We're not doing it for that reason. We're trying to do it just to make the world a better place, just for us to be better people, more spiritually advanced people. I guess this kind of love plays a part in all religions, but in Buddhism it's especially strong. The Buddha was reputed to be like a force field of kindness. He was reputed to be just, you know, if you met him, you were overwhelmed by his kindness, and it was one of the really big things about him. And this kindness is a positive state of mind, and that positive state of mind to ourselves and other people dispels suffering. It helps to prevent us getting into unhappy and negative states of mind. So it's really important. So I'm going to stop talking now and we'll do the practice. But before we do that, just good morning to Sarah and Jane and Carol and Laura. Good to see you all. So this practice has 5 stages. First stage is loving kindness to ourselves. You know all this, I'm sure, but I'm saying it again. The second stage is a good friend who should be not a relation, preferably somebody around our own age, traditionally. Though that's, that's depends how old we see ourselves as. And the stranger can be somebody we see quite often and we don't have a value judgment about. We neither like them nor dislike them. And the difficult person, the person we have difficulty with, is a much better phrase. This person is somebody we're just uncomfortable with, and not somebody we've completely gone ballistic with, because that would be too difficult, but somebody that makes us uncomfortable. And then in the last stage, we bring all 4 together and spread our loving kindness out to every being in the world. So it's a very radical practice. It's what we need in the world today. And my experience of it is that I found it difficult to begin with, and I had to find my own way of practicing it in the end. And I think we all have to do that. It's a creative practice. We have to find our own inner way of relating to other people and setting up conditions for this loving kindness, this metta. But it changes your life. It really does. I in ways I can't begin to explain. The world is kinder to me because I am kinder to the world, and that's just true. Okay, let's get going. So just make yourself comfy if you're not already. As always, you can do it lying down or sitting in some way, on a chair, on a cushion. And we'll begin by seeing what the state of play is with us right now. You may already be full of loving kindness, or you may be full of something much more negative, or something neutral. And throughout this practice, we're not going to beat ourselves up about not being kind, not being kind enough. We're not going to judge ourselves because that's not metta. We're going to start off, if we can, by just having a sense of loving kindness to the whole of ourselves, to our minds, our mental states, whatever they are, they're okay. Just holding them with loving kindness. And having a sense of loving kindness to our emotional state, whatever that is. Even if it's hateful, even if it's bolshy and unpleasant, we still have a sense of loving kindness towards it. Trying not to judge, just accepting. And our physical state, our bodies, whether they're tired or overactive, achy, tense, relaxed, whatever the state of our body right now, just accepting it as it is with a sense of love and kindness, of metta. And allowing our body and mind to relax as much as we can. Just noticing whatever's going on with a sense of acceptance, not fighting anything, just allowing the whole of our being to be as settled as it can be. Allowing our chair or bed or whatever we're lying on or sitting on to take our weight. Just relaxing into a sense of being held by the earth. Feeling the contact with whatever we're lying or sitting on. Feeling the air on our skin. Feeling the aliveness of our bodies, the tingling, the sensations, good or bad, pleasant or unpleasant, just turning towards the sensations in the body with a sense of loving kindness, of metta. And zoning in on the chest area, rising and falling as the breath enters and leaves the body. Just allowing ourselves to be drawn in to the rhythm of the breathing in the chest. And moving our loving attention down to the center of the rib cage, right at the bottom. And if we can, moving just inside of this, into the heart center. Not the physical heart at all. This is the heart of our being. Combination of positive emotion and wisdom. This is the heart of our being. Bringing to mind somebody we really love, a person or a pet, just seeing an image of them or a sense of them, if we can't see images, seeing what happens in this heart center. So if we are really relaxed, we'll feel warmth and benevolence, something like love, as a physical manifestation in the heart center. If you're not getting anything, that's okay. Don't try too hard. Just keep bringing to mind this person that you really love. Maybe imagining a good time together, or a time when they really looked after you. And just staying open to the heart center opening and this sense of warmth and love emerging. Not trying to force anything. And if it's there, allowing it to spread through the body, through the whole of your being, even beyond the body. Filling the whole of you with warmth, benevolence and loving kindness. And in the first stage, we're going to direct this loving kindness towards ourselves. Just reflecting that we have this precious human life. We've got lots to be grateful for. And that doesn't mean to say that life isn't difficult sometimes, and that sometimes life is really hard. And we make mistakes, and we're imperfect. And that's okay. So can we have a sense of loving kindness, of metta towards ourselves? Just another precious, tender human being, doing the best to make the way through life, aware of how we could be better, and working on that. But just loving ourselves for where we are and as we are. Just being our own best friend. Whatever happens, just being there for ourselves. Now bringing to mind a good friend, someone that we care about a lot. Bringing them into our meditation, either as an image or just a sense of them or a memory, just whatever works for us, bringing them to mind and opening our hearts to them. Noticing what happens in our heart center, in our chitta. And probably we feel a lot of warmth and kindness towards this person. We may not, there may be something that gets in the way of that, and the feelings might not be so pleasant, but whatever arises, just noticing that with acceptance. And perhaps bringing to mind that this person too, just like us, sometimes finds life difficult. Sometimes life is brilliant for them, but at other times it's a struggle. There are so many things we have in common as human beings. And we see that in our friend, don't we? We see the connection, the humanity between each of us. So opening our hearts to our friend and wishing them well in their lives. Supporting them, mentally being with them, being there for them as friends are. So now inviting a relative stranger to come into our meditation. Someone who we see quite often, but we don't know at all. Maybe a postman or postwoman, a bus driver, a shop assistant, a neighbour, somebody we meet at the bus stop or at work, fleetingly. And can we bring this person to mind as an image or as a sense of them, memory maybe, and just see what happens in our emotional side. What happens in our heart center maybe. So we may make a connection with them but we may not. We might even feel a sense of neutrality or indifference to them. This is okay. It's maybe not where we want to be, but keeping a sense of kindness towards this response, if that's what we have. We tend to concentrate our sense of love and kindness on the people that we know that matter to us. And that's fine, but we're trying to broaden that out to all beings. So this neutral person, this stranger, is just a human being like us. And just like our best friend or the person we care about, they too have lots of ups and downs in their lives. And we know more about them than we think we do. We know how they feel when things go wrong. We know that they get desperate sometimes, that they may feel sorrow or anger or disappointment, as well as joy and happiness and excitement. They too are blown around by life just as we are. So can we have a sense of solidarity with this stranger? Even though we don't know them, can we wish them well in their lives? Can we open our hearts to them? And just letting the stranger go for the moment and bringing to mind somebody who we have a bit of difficulty with. We perhaps don't get on with them, or maybe even we just don't like being around them. They make us feel uncomfortable. Or we've fallen out with them in a not too big a way. And we just don't agree with the way they are, their views. And noticing what happens in our body when we bring this person to mind. Might feel a bit painful. Maybe we tighten up and close down a little. Maybe our heart center, our chitta, goes cold and closes down. Or it may not be that dramatic. Well, we're not trying to change any of that. We're not trying to suddenly like this person or pretend that there are no difficulties between us. We're just trying to open our hearts to them as fellow human beings. We might have our difficulties, but at the same time we can see that they are very much like us in many ways. They go through the same ups and downs, the same emotional heartbreak and joy, the same horrible difficulties, embarrassments and pain in their lives as we do. And they're going to get old and get sick and die just as we are. This tender human being that we have some difficulty with. So in spite of that difficulty, can we wish them well? Can we open our hearts to them? And in the fifth and final stage, bringing all four people together for a moment. Ourselves, our good friend, the stranger, and the person we have difficulty with. And just seeing if we can have an equal sense of loving kindness or metta to all four of us. Just forgetting our differences for a moment, just seeing the humanity in each of us. And opening our hearts as much as we can. And not beating ourselves up if this is difficult. Then spreading this goodwill, opening our hearts to everybody that's been meditating with us this morning on Facebook and YouTube. All of us very similar in many ways. All of us going through the same ups and downs in life. Then opening our hearts even wider to all the people in the world, all 7 billion of them, all in different circumstances, different ages, countries, situations. 7 billion unique individuals, and yet we all have so much in common. People will never meet, go through the same difficulties, successes, heart-wrenching situations as we do. Wherever they are, whoever they are. So can we open our hearts to all the different people in the world and wish them well? And then can we go even further and open our hearts to all life, all human life, all animals, all birds, water creatures, insects, reptiles, every living being, all of them just trying to live their life in the best way they can. All of them enduring joy and suffering. Can we open our hearts to every being, however small, however big? And feel this sense of loving kindness, this connection with them in their quest for life. I'm going to ring the bell to bring this meditation to an end. And when I do, just being gentle, coming round gently, and just noticing how you are, and aiming to take this open heart out into the world today. Noticing other beings, and noticing that, reminding ourselves that they're very much like ourselves, and having a sense of goodwill towards them as much as we can. But knowing that this is sometimes difficult. I'm sorry, I've overrun a little bit this morning. So if you need to get off to go somewhere, then please make haste if you need to. But thank you for joining me this morning. I'll be back tomorrow with a slightly longer meditation on body awareness. I'm going to do a body scan in the morning at 8 o'clock. And I'll be back at 11 this morning for the Cuppa meditation, a morning Cuppa. And just a reminder that a week tomorrow, we'll be back in the museum gardens again, all being well, as long as it's not throwing it down. And we'll be hopefully broadcasting live from there. And so if you'd like to join us in person, that would be great. If you can't do that, just make a note that we'll still be here at 11 o'clock a week tomorrow in Museum Gardens, all being well. And thank you for joining me again. Hope you enjoyed that and hope it was useful. And I just think it's such a great meditation. If we can just open our hearts to other people, wouldn't the world be such a better place? And it can start with us right now. So take care today. Have a good day. I'll see you again when I see you. And in the meantime, take care, stay safe, and lots of love to you.